There we are. Hello, everybody.
I'm just sharing this out, so I'll be a few minutes.
All right. Well, today we're talking about... Wayne, what is your favorite castle? Have you ever investigated one?
I've got a few castles that I do frequent quite a bit. Colchester Castle in Essex, England, is an amazing castle. I think it's down as the most complete Norman fort in all of Europe, which subsequently would mean the whole world, basically. And I've investigated there about 7 times.
Wow.
And I think it was about the 3rd time there, myself and 2 other people actually witnessed seeing a Roman soldier's legs walking about in the dungeons. Underneath the castle is the Temple of Temple of Claudius, sorry. When Boadicea came along and ransacked and destroyed Colchester, the Temple of Claudius was one of the places that she completely demolished. And then when the Normans came in, they built over the top of it. And so this Norman castle was then built to replace it. But underneath in the vaults, underneath the castle, is 6 individual rooms. And while we were investigating one of the rooms, this lady had said she'd got a cold spot. And as I'm talking to this lady and checking the temperatures in the area, I turned and looked at this tunnel entrance into another room. And there was a guy called Terry standing there looking through. And I said, "Are you the only one there?" He's like, "Yes, why?" And I said, "There's someone standing in front of you inside the tunnel." And then he looked and ran straight towards it. And I followed him. And we literally followed this pair of legs through into the tunnel, into this other room where there were some gravestones. By this point, then, the legs had changed into a green ball.
Really?
And we thought it was the security lights, because they've got in each of the rooms down there, they've got these green security lights, and they were little round green lights, but we covered them up with black tape, so we knew it wasn't anything to do with the security lights. But we followed this green ball into another tunnel, and it led to a dead end. And as we were sitting there, and we were actually communicating with this ball of light, and it was getting bigger, then it was getting smaller again, then it moved to the left, moved to the right, all to us asking. And then just as it was going round in circles and we were actually getting answers to the questions we were asking, the caretaker of the castle turned all the lights on and said, "Everybody out."
Really?
But when I went back the following day and I asked one of the curators of the castle about the tunnel underneath, and they said that leads out at the bottom of the castle. The castle park itself is all based on a hill, and this tunnel led right the way down the hill to the bottom behind a load of bushes. But they'd since obviously bricked it all up and blocked it off, so you couldn't really sort of go down there and follow it. But that's where that green ball of light was heading to, and we're like, "That's not right." Sorry?
Was it an escape tunnel or something that? Well, obviously,
I think it was. I think it was a route out. If anything was serious to happen in the castle, then that would have been where they'd have gone to get out and escape. But by what the curator told me was that the tunnel had become unsafe, and so that guests didn't have too many issues going down there, they bricked it all up. Because what they do is they have sleepovers in there. Wow. And they have scout and guide groups go down there, and they kip in the vaults overnight.
I'm doing that to Jamie, by the way, not to you guys.
Hey, Jamie.
But it is an amazing castle. And even not even inside the castle, there's stuff going on around the castle itself. Colchester itself, being supposedly Britain's oldest recorded town, Britain's first city, there's lots of different things throughout time that have happened there that have sort of ended up being recorded as historical fact.
Shall I tell you something really strange? You mentioned Boadicea or Boudica.
Yeah.
I live in her home, like her last stronghold. This Chatteris, where I live, is the hometown of Boudica. And the archaeologists have been and dug up the Iceni villages and things like that. And they have now led to believe, and they're rewriting history. Historians will say she was arrested and taken to Colchester, where she was executed. And they're saying that's not the case. She actually died natural causes here, and she's buried somewhere here in Chatteris with all her regalia.
I
So
was
that's quite
told
interesting.
she was ambushed by the Romans.
No, she wasn't.
She made her way.
She was. Yeah, her family were killed. Her husband was killed.
After destroying Colchester, they made their way down towards London, and then when they'd finished down there, they made their way sort of northwest, and they were caught in a bottleneck, and the Romans literally just went for it. And
apparently, she's here. She's here somewhere. They
I
have
think
dug up.
she did die of her wounds, didn't she? So it wouldn't be surprising.
They said natural causes, and they're saying, and they've dug up already. They have found, which is really unusual for here. We have no zoo here. They dug up an elephant. They dug up big cats that were placed strategically here.
Yeah.
And they think it's all related with the Roman Empire.
Yeah, because that's what the Romans
Boudica,
did when they came to England. They brought their war elephants with them.
Yeah.
And it was an intimidation tactic rather than, you see this great big sort of monstrosity coming towards you. The first thing you're going to do is run away. I don't think I'd have stuck around.
That's a synchronicity there for me and you, Wayne. Boudica.
Yeah.
Colchester Castle.
I mean, that's Colchester Castle for those who haven't seen it.
Oh, wow.
I've been lucky enough to also investigate Colchester Castle. And yes, it's lovely. It's not my favourite place to go. I have been to others. I've been really spoiled. But Colchester Castle is amazing. We did go down into the vaults and where you were speaking about, Wayne, but I had my best experiences up on the upper levels because everyone went woof down to the bottom. So when they did that, I went to the top. And I was given some access that they don't normally give because we chat to the right people, let's just say. And we were staring at this man, and he just looked normal, like normal modern clothing.
Yep.
And he was looking at the exhibits, and me being me, to my mate, who the fuck is that? What's it doing in here? It's coming in here, spoiling our investigation. Go and have a word with him. Go on, you have a word with him. So I got up to go and say, "Oi, you're not allowed to be in here. This is a restricted area." And he just turned and walked away. As I went to follow him, nobody there.
Wow.
Absolutely nobody there.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it to some of the staff that were on that night. I said, "Who is this?" "Oh, yeah, he's been seen before. Don't worry about him." Because he wasn't old or of old, they're not too fussed. They want to know about the older stuff. And I'm going, "Well, no, who is this guy and what was he doing?" And it's like, I wanted to have a go at him.
Yeah. I mean, there is two. I think there's two cavaliers are seen regularly in Colchester Castle, and they literally just from the stairs and the upper floor. If you walk along the wall, they literally walk along there, and they just walk through the wall and out, which is where there used to be an old doorway. Yeah, and they just literally walk through it. But also, you've got what's his face? Charles Lucas, Sir Charles Lucas. He was rounded up after the siege of Colchester, and he was executed out the back of the castle. And the legend says that after he fell, grass refused to grow in the area where he fell.
Really?
And so they tried so many different things to get grass growing there. They literally took the turf up and they put new grass down, and it died straight away. So in the end, they put a path. They literally covered the pathway up with stone, and then eventually it was concrete. Yeah. And they put a monument on the top of the spot where he fell, and that's still there to this day. But that's the reason why they put the monument there.
Shall I tell you another good castle, Eric? I'm going to spoil you. So it's not classified as a castle, but a lot of tourists do call it a castle. By the way, thank you for reminding us, Kelly. Happy 4th of July to all our American friends out there. The Tower of London, to me, it could fall into the classification of castle because it is massive.
Yeah.
It's like a palace,
Yeah.
and it is fortified, and it has a moat and a bailey. So the moat, you understand, goes all the way around. It would have been a defence, not necessarily with water. Sometimes they built dry moats as a defence. The baileys are the doors that come down, like you see in the films, on a chain, and the door goes up and down and
Or
things
the old
like that.
portcullis.
Yeah, and it's got portcullises and murder holes. The murder holes are holes in the ceiling through the archways where they would pour hot oil, that sort of thing. Again, it's another defence. But the Tower of London is actually not a castle. It's not a palace. And it does get confused. But in that respect, in the archaeology in the building, you could class it as a castle.
Yeah.
To me, it's the oldest that we have and still in operation. And it is also the most haunted building in the whole of England, completely, hands down.
And oddly enough, it was designed by the same bloke that did Colchester Castle.
Yeah. And do you know that over the years it was used for so many things? It did house kings and queens, but not recreationally or to live in. It was used as a prison. It was used for the military. It was a zoo at one point. It's had lots of executions. Today, it houses the crown jewels, and it is in a, basically you walk into a vault. The vault is huge.
It's like Fort Knox.
Yeah, but it's steeped in so much history. Like I want to talk about the ravens, right? Or the crows. They are ravens. They say if the ravens leave the palace, or the walls will come tumbling down, which is why they have ravens that frequent, and the tourists, they love it. But what it actually means is they will have ravens that were crushed up. They were dead ravens. They were crushed up, and they were cemented into the actual plaster and the brickwork of the very fabric of the building. So if that actually leaves, the whole palace will fall down. So people take it quite literally. They think if the ravens fly away, we're buggered, and the whole place will fall down. That's not the case at all. But I was lucky enough to investigate the Tower of London, areas that we're obviously not allowed to go in, but there were many areas that we did. I had, and I hand on heart, and the yeoman warder that was with me believes the same. It was 2 days before Richard III was reburied. 2 days before he was reburied. So they're all gearing up to having that very royal burial for Richard III that was dug up in a car park. My colleague took a photograph, and she captured, and no word of the lie, we believe we got an image of the princes, the 2 princes that went missing, that were believed to be murdered. She caught those 2, and I caught an A-class EVP. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I've got a fascination, and always have done, with the gunpowder plot over here in England, which is why we have Guy Fawkes Night. And I did a lot of research into the gang of the gunpowder plot. And I know that Guy Fawkes himself was taken to the tower and tortured so badly, like you would not believe. They don't even talk about his torture. They sort of play it down very much for the school children and things. But I stood in an area quite close to where one of the queens was beheaded. And I came away from everybody and I kept calling out for Guido. Guido, if you're there, can you tell me that you're okay? Guido, can you hear me? Can you respond to me? And I got a response. Look what they did to my hands. Look what they did to my hands. And when I played that back to the Yeoman Warder, I said, just listen to this and tell me what you think. And he went, oh my God. At the start of his torture, he was able to write his name. At the end of his confession, when he confessed to everything, sealing his death, he couldn't even hold a pen. Every single bone in his hands were crushed, both of them. So it was quite prominent. I was so proud that he took the time to respond and to actually confirm, without telling me it was him, about his hands. And the Yeoman Warders, like, they wanted all of our evidence then afterwards. You know, we did a lot while in the short space of time that we were there. But for me, hands down, even though it's not really classified as a castle, it is, but it's not classified as a castle. The Tower of London, for me, is my favourite. And if you do come over to England, Eric, it's one place that you should go and visit. Isn't it, Wayne?
Yeah, definitely.
You should go and see it. It's amazing. Yeah. It's beautiful to look at.
Mm. And there is as well, Viv, you were saying about Guy Fawkes. There is now down in London the Gunpowder Plot, and it's Museum. A fully immersive experience.
There is. Should we go?
Well, I've been with the same company, but it was the War of the Worlds immersive experience.
Right.
And if the Gunpowder Plot is anything like the War of the Worlds one, it will be amazing. I mean, the War of the Worlds one now is moving to a bigger site.
Oh, is it?
Because it's become so popular that they want to do so much more with it. Mm. And so if the Gunpowder Plot is anything like the War of the Worlds one,
let's do it. Let's get a day trip. Ellen, do you fancy it?
A day trip to where?
The Gunpowder Plot, the immersive experience in London.
We'll leave the men behind. We're just the girls. We'll have a few drinks and really enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
We'll sort it. I'll speak to Rachel. But let's talk about Scotland. Because Eric,
one of my favourite places.
You've got a fascination of Scotland as well, and you want to know about the castles in Scotland. Now, I've never been to any of the castles in Scotland, but I did some research. And there is a castle, I don't know what it's called, but there are time slips at this particular place where people just disappear for hours and you've only been gone for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It is said that it also, is it called Glamis Castle? It has a secret room where it's said that the devil had been there and played cards with someone to win their soul. Do you know about that, Wayne?
Calder Glen and Calderwood Castle.
No, Glamis. It's Glamis. Glamis.
I don't know. There is quite a few. I mean, I know of two, Calder Glen and Calderwood Castle, and then you've got Dunvegan Castle as well. Has got a history of time slips. There's also Canassery Castle as well in Argyll and Bute, and that has got some history of time slips in it as well.
Yeah. But to be honest, Eric, the English were always over there battering the hell out of the Scots because the English and the Scots hate each other. Yeah. You do know that, don't you? Well, Lois will tell you. Yeah. And they're always fighting. So they had to build all these castles to defend themselves to keep the English away. Oh, well. Wayne, you must have visited a few castles in your time there.
Well, no, I've only been up to Scotland twice recently, but both times I've been up recently, it's been to Argyll and Bute. So we only actually managed to go to our friends in Kilmartin, which is the northwest of Glasgow. So it's literally on the west coast in the Western Highlands, and Canassery Castle itself on its own is just strange. it's literally just a ruin. But you can literally go right up to the roof, and you can walk around the outer wall and the battlements right the way around the top. And we went there just as sunset was kicking in, so it was starting to get dark, and we were just going up there, and we got onto the roof, and we're walking around the edge, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we were just confronted with a wooden walkway that linked one part of wall to another, and you had to walk across it. And I'm just like, now I've jumped out of aircraft. I took one look at that and went, oh my God.
Yeah, Williams just said
why.
Glamis was the childhood home to Queen Elizabeth II's mother.
Oh.
Queen Mary. Was it Queen Mary?
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. She weren't important.
I know when I go, I want to do. I don't, like I said before, I don't like doing what tourists do. I want to go to abandoned castles. I want to go to places that you can't get to, that they don't normal tourists go.
Now,
I walk around Scotland, England, trying to find as many abandoned castles as I can while I'm out there for 6 months out of the year.
The thing is, the castles are never abandoned. They're all owned by someone. So you think it's abandoned, it's actually not. It's actually owned by someone. It's just left there to rot because they can't afford to keep up the maintenance or the repairs or whatever. But there are so many buildings, castles, what would you call them? Like Wisbeach Castle, Wayne was at last week.
Saturday.
Wisbeach Castle is the castle doesn't actually stand there anymore, but on the grounds where the castle was stood is now a Georgian house. But what they do have is the vaults that were there when the castle was there. They still exist. So they've incorporated some of the old parts into the new. When we call it new, it's not really new. It's Georgian. Beautiful. Absolutely stunning.
And there is, I think downstairs in the basement, there is a model of what the castle used to look like. And the ring road that goes around Wisbeach Castle used to be the moat.
Yeah.
So the moat has been filled in, and the road has been put around the top so people can get access to it. But when you look at the model of how the castle used to look to how it is now, you think, wow, you know, they've destroyed so much history there.
But even with the ring road, there is still like folklore there. There's a place there called the Devil's Passage. Did you go and see the Devil's Passage?
We went into the vault, so that was as far as we went.
Oh, the Devil's Passage is so funny. Apparently, the devil frequents in this passageway, and a man who was drunk came across the devil in this passage and did a deal with him, but he actually tricked the devil and got away with it, apparently. But since then, the devil still appears in this devil. I've never seen this devil. I've been down that passage calling him, and he never came. But it's amazing, like the stories that are passed down through history, and it's associated with the castle, the Devil's Passage. It's just so funny.
I mean, them vaults are very bizarre.
Well, I know a lot of story. I know the old curator is a good friend of mine, and I know about the vaults. And I'm not going to tell you too much, not on air, because it will spoil it. But you know the dark bit in the vaults, the really nasty. It's not what you think it is.
The whole part of it was dark because the lights were out.
Yeah. No, there is that. I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you off air, and you'll understand.
All I can remember seeing was a green light at the entrance. And I was right down the far end. And all I could see was the green exit sign at the entrance. And I'm sitting there on this plastic chair that was damp. You know, condensation running down the back. And I'm sitting there, and out of nowhere to the left of the tunnel, one of the passageways on the left, no word of a lie, it looked to me like an Irish wolfhound. It was massive. It was like a horse.
Shall I tell you what that is?
Bounded into the corridor and came towards me, and before it got anywhere near me, it just vanished. And then later on, I was sitting again at the end, and when you get to the end of the vault, and it splits into two, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I turned right and gone to one of the ends. There was a table set up, and I was sitting there in the dark, and I'd got 2 red lights by the left of me on the wall, which were obviously the emergency light switches or electric plug sockets. And I'm sitting there, and then out of nowhere, this wolfhound came out of the wall and stopped right in front of me, just sat there and then vanished. And I went, this wolfhound's in here again. And then when I went back to the middle section, I turned picked my torch up, turned it on and shone it back to where I was sitting, and discovered there was a gap in the wall. But while I was sitting there, that gap wasn't there. I couldn't see it.
No, I'll tell you about that place off air, because
It's an amazing place.
It's an amazing
Even
place.
the actual
Eric,
building itself is really good.
We'll have to take you on a little mini tour, because I know of another castle as well, and I don't know if Wayne's been, called Castle Rising.
I've heard of it, but never been.
This is steeped in a lot of history. It's still owned by Lord Howard of the Howard lineage. You know of that name, Howard?
I don't know.
Married to King Henry VIII.
Okay.
Beheaded. Anyway, Lord Howard still owns the castle, but it was owned by Queen Isabella, better known as the She-Wolf Queen, who is said to have impaled her husband quite nastily and killed him, which is not true. No, it's not true. She has, she kept Irish wolfhounds, hence the nickname. And she does show herself, and she's been captured on camera. You can smell her perfume. There are a few ghosts, including an elemental in one of the churches. It's got a major lane line that runs through the whole thing. Anyway, it's just steeped in castles over here and Wales. Somebody in the chat, Lynn, she's mentioned we've got castles in North Wales, where I live, even one in my hometown woods. Now, Wales, like Scotland, castles just spring up all over the place. You'll be driving along, you don't see the brown sign saying castle this way. You just happen to stumble across them. They're absolutely amazing. And it's the same in Scotland. Everywhere you look in Scotland, there is a castle. But there is what's that castle? There's a famous castle where they welcome paranormal investigators. You can sleep overnight in the castles up there. You can do so much in Scotland. They open their doors quite freely to visitors into castles.
Got a little bit of juice.
Memories.
I've just discovered something. Myself and Ellen, we are Lord and Lady of Dunan's Castle in Chow Glen.
Oh, are you?
And I've just looked it up, and it turns out that Chow Glen is on the Cowal Peninsula in Argyll and Bute, where our friends live.
All right.
So next time we go up to see our friends, we could probably pop onto our castle that we own.
Do you know what, Eric? You can buy a lineage over here. You can be Lord or Lady, Count or Countess. You can buy a Duke. You can be a Duke and Duchess. You can do all sorts. If you've got the money, you can buy them.
I'll have it.
And it has benefits.
Yeah.
If you go through, once you've brought that lord or ladyship, you can then go through the deed poll thing to change your name, to have lord or lady put in front of your name. That then ultimately changes your passport, your driving licenses, and all your IDs, bank accounts,
Free
and everything
upgrades. Free upgrades.
You get free upgrades, free reservations in restaurants and hotels and things like that, upgrades in hotels and aircraft. Get a lordship and the world's your oyster, but try and change your name on Facebook. It's nigh on impossible.
Yes, Debs is just mentioning Uncle Norm. What a great man he was.
That's my characters for us become a lord.
You do that, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I do miss him, Debs.
Can you pass me my phone?
Oops. So yeah, so there, the world is your oyster when you come over here for castles. Now you do have castles in America.
Yeah, I know.
Eric, can you tell us about some of your castles?
I have no idea. I've only looked up like I don't know. I know it's in the south somewhere that they have one, but they're smaller.
But they model them a lot on what they think a quaint English castle would look like, don't they? Some places.
I'm sure somebody paid millions of dollars for somebody to build a castle somewhere. I mean, I would too, but I'd rather be where they actually are. So,
So I went to, just going down a rabbit hole.
mhm.
I recently went to Transylvania, as you know,
Yes, no, I love.
and they have castles all over the place there. But their castles look completely different to our castles. And in actual fact, some of them, one of them that I went to, which has got nothing to do with Dracula or Vlad Tepes or anything,
Yeah,
it was the King of Romania, King Carol, who married a British princess. And they built this castle. Well, he bought the land first, and then he decided to put a castle on there. And then he extended the castle, and he put some outer buildings where the delegates could come over, stay in these outer parts, come up to the castle, have their meeting. So it makes them more at ease with everything. And when I went in and looked around this castle, it looked German.
yeah.
So it had all the wood paneling, all the carving that you see in the German castles. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. A lot of German influence in it, and it transpires. Well, I don't know if you know, but our royalty comes from Germany. But it was amazing to see, like, the difference with their castles, where they have the towers with the pointy roofs, you know, and it looks very sort of
It
fairy
was the
tale-ish. Yeah,
Bavarian Gothic style, which
yeah,
the only castles I know of in America are the Disney castles, and they were modelled on the 1950 Cinderella film and then Sleeping Beauty.
yeah.
But again, that is based on the Bavarian Gothic style castle, which obviously, like you say, in Transylvania, it's the same design.
Yeah.
So I think that to me, without actually sort of digging into it, is, the Disney castles are practically the only castles I know of in America. But like Eric said, you can guarantee someone's had a castle built, and you can even drive around the streets around here in England and you'll see normal houses that have had battlements put on top of the roof to make them look like a castle.
Yeah.
And the amount of times my kids have gone, "Oh, look, Daddy, there's a castle." And you're like, "No, that's just a house. They've just had the roof done to make it look like one." But we've got some strange castles over here. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the memory goes back to when I was in primary school. So I was about 8 or 9 at the time. We did Headingham Castle. That's beautiful.
So that's the castle I was just talking about that has the Bavarian influence
Yeah.
to it. It's not a very good picture, to be fair.
I mean, we had Headingham Castle, Orford Castle, and Framlingham Castle.
Yeah.
And Framlingham Castle is just literally a shell with rooms sort of in the corners. Very bizarre place, but it's amazing to just walk around and you get an enormous sense of the history there, regardless of how new or how old it is.
Yeah. You can't really see all the oak paneling, and it's just a lot of...
Yeah, I know. I love all that wood, all the detail that goes into the swirls and stuff. It's just amazing to me.
And to be honest, Bran Castle, which again has nothing to do with Dracula, it's all like a tourist thing, doesn't really look much like a castle.
They just called it a castle.
Well, it's not. It doesn't look like a castle in the sense. I haven't got a picture that I'll Look, there's a bit of the outside. Oh, you're not going to see it very well. Hang on. I'm not very good with these pictures. I don't know how much of that
Sorry,
you're
the
going to
camera will
see.
adjust. Yeah.
You don't really see. It just looks like a big house, to be to be fair. There we go. That's Bran Castle.
Okay.
See?
It just looks like a fort in a way.
Yeah.
In a sense, one of these Mediterranean forts.
Yeah. So again, it's how do you define? How would you define a castle in your own mind? How would you? What do you think
In my own
constitutes a castle? This
Yeah.
Bran Castle.
there at one
Parts of,
parts of castle to me, or some kind of royalty. Yeah, pretty.
It's got a pointy roof.
I think, like we said, when if you can recollect your sort of first impression of a castle, it was as a child. So you would have had influence from TV and schools. Schools would sort of say, well, castles, medieval England and King Arthur and things like that. So you would get an impression of a specific type. And I suppose it depends on what country you're in. The castle would change depending on where you are.
Yeah.
So like where you were in Transylvania, Viv, a child's perspective of a castle would look like the ones that you visited. They wouldn't even think of King Arthur's Camelot or Colchester Castle or the Tower of London or anything like that.
And Ireland, let's not forget Ireland here, because Ireland have some serious castles over there. Yeah. And even one of the great castles is beautiful looking, the architecture, all in ruin, is falling off the cliff into the sea now. But that one, it always stuck in my mind. I'm going to come back one day and visit that place before it all disappears. Never did go back, but I will do one day. Leap Castle in Ireland.
Yes.
Famous Leap Castle. I don't know what the name's. The man, is his name Sean? Shaughnessy?
I don't know.
He's got that castle. Yeah. I mean, that's got the look of a castle, but is it a castle? What is it?
I don't know.
I mean, it was a castle in the time and used as, but nowadays, would you call that a castle? It's just a home. It's his house.
Yeah. I think it likes it. I mean, Bunratty Castle in County Clare. That looks like a castle.
Yeah.
It's got its towers.
That looks nice.
That is. I mean, that's what 4 or 5 floors high.
Yeah.
That would take you 2 nights to investigate that place.
Well, I'm hoping that I can get in, even if it's a donation, when you go to some of these places and visit, if I can donate £1,000 to stay 2 nights at some place, I'll do it.
Yeah.
The thing I was going to mention, Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
So you remember that famous? Oh, now that looks good.
Mm-hmm.
And that looks like that's dropping into the ocean.
See the one, yeah. Mm-hmm. Downton Abbey. When you look at that building, looks like a castle, but it's actually not classed as a castle. That is a what would you call it, Wayne? Like
an abbey,
a stately home.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't class it as a castle, but somebody else who doesn't appreciate what we've got, I suppose. They appreciate it more. We don't appreciate it. Oh, look at that castle. They filmed Downton Abbey there. It's actually a stately home. So some of these stately homes do have these, what would you call it? That sort of feature on them to make it look like a castle. Yeah. I suppose that person who owned that house, it would have been their castle. So they make it look in this fashion. You have Hampton Court Palace.
Yeah.
Now that's not classed as a castle, is it really? It's a palace. We would call it a castle, but it's not, apparently.
Yeah. The problem is looking at the definition of a castle. Because the definition of a castle is a building that is architecturally prepared for battle.
So,
Yeah.
so it's got to have the moat. It's got to have the moat.
As long as its defenders are capable
yeah.
of defending the building, then it can be classed as a castle.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to have battlements or a portcullis or a moat, as long as it's able to withstand an attack, then it can be classed as a castle. I think it's just depending on its location, how many people are there, because obviously the more people you've got stationed there, the more it's going to be prone to an attack. So you would need the defenders, you would need the defense in place. So you would need battlements, you'd need murder holes. A moat would be ideal because they need to cross the moat, obviously, and drawbridges, etc. So obviously the more defense you've got in the place, the better. Hence why the castle that we know of exists.
France has a lot of castles, or they call them, what do they call them? Chateaus, the chateau. But they have castles. They're actually, people are buying them left, right and centre and turning them into the hotels. And a lot of English went over to France and bought the chateaus, but they have, to me, they're like little mini castles, these chateaus, some of them. Some of them are more ornate than others because some people have spent a lot of money. And then you have Versailles over there. Now that is a palace. That's not actually classed as a castle. So it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, Scotland littered with castles, Wales littered with castles, Ireland littered with castles, France littered with castles, chateaus. Yes.
England littered with ruined castles.
Yes.
Because we decided for progress, we'll destroy this castle and we'll build over it.
Yeah, we'll build some flats. No, we got some bits in the chat here. Hurst Castle. Ooh.
Let's have a look, shall we?
I bet that's such a scary name, Hurst. Get in the Hurst. Am I dead?
Hurst Castle.
Am I dead? No, I'm alive. Sorry. I've not had the drugs yet today.
Somehow I must have misspelled. Oh no, Samuel, California.
Yeah. We have many private home castles here. Many actually bought over rooms from English castles and manors. Lovely castle, German with all the dark wood, yeah.
Okay, that's Hurst Castle in California.
That looks like a church more than a castle.
Doesn't it?
It's got the two spires like that. It looks like a church. Beautiful though.
It's nice when it's lit up at night. It looks sort of dusk.
Oh, that's nice. That
almost looks like the Taj Mahal, doesn't it?
Does a little bit, doesn't it? With the
miss out the dome.
The pond in the front. Say pond, it's more like a swimming pool. Hi guys, I'm your castle guy, or was it arsehole guy? You can take place you can just replace Dan as the arsehole guy while we've got Dan. Oh, by the way, Dan is not very well, which is why he's not with us. So Dan, if you're watching this on catch up, get better soon. We miss you. Yes. We miss you. We love you.
Or brown sauce or mayonnaise. It doesn't matter.
Jamie, you retard. We miss you as well. We love Jamie. He's not really retard. Yeah, exactly the case, William. Manor house. A manor house is completely different from a stately home, though, isn't it? It's not.
Manor houses aren't as big.
No, if you're gonna spend your money, get a stately home. Our beer baron's mansion, like Captain Pabst. Well, the closest thing we have here in Milwaukee, German if it's dark wood, that's a castle, Wayne.
Well, see, to me, the Winchester mansion would be a castle looking to me, because it's so big.
We have fantastic mansions and fortified manor houses. Yeah. Chatsworth House is also mentioned. Yes, Bri. William says, right, Wayne. Spoforth was a good example.
I'll have a good
William
look
Randolph
at
Hearst.
Woodchester Mansion in October because I'm filming up there in October. So.
Yeah, that's a beautiful place. That is. You'll have a good time there. That's the only time of the Hart Castle. So, castles. I was looking at the home of Anton LaVey in San Francisco, and he has one of those. I suppose you would call it a townhouse.
Yeah.
With those pointy roofs, and he had his lion was kept at the top. And I looked at that house and I thought, that's so beautiful. It looks like a castle to me. So you do have in America that fashion to build houses, even if they're just like these townhouses that have many floors that look like castles. There's a few that are haunted that I've seen on a few shows that look castle-y looking, but again, they're not actually castles. They're just somebody's house in the design of a castle. But I just think they're quite quaint. They're quite quirky. We couldn't do that over here because we have to follow certain rules set out by our local councils, which is a shame. But yeah, I think you've got in your own sense, you do have your little castles. Plus, you've got the indigenous castles that not are built like ours. You know, they might have their little dwellings carved out in cliff, in the rocks that go up quite high. So to me, some of those castles are more amazing than the castles that we have over here in Europe, and they date back a lot older than ours. I mean, it makes me a little bit cross and a bit angry when you hear some Americans say, yeah, but we don't have the history. You've got all the history over there and all the ghosts. Actually, you do have the history. You just choose not to see it.
Well, yeah, because if you look at American history, it goes back to before Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
It goes a lot further back. It's not just about the modern history. It's about the ancient history, and the ancient history of America itself goes back to near enough the same time period as what UK history goes back to.
Codner Castle, yeah. Codner. Yeah, I've done that, Codner, quite a lot of times. Not the farmhouses, but the
never
castles.
Look at that name properly. I keep thinking of fish and chips every time I see that.
Cod and chips. Balmoral.
Yeah.
It was defending anything. Well, it was for the Queen Victoria, where our late Queen passed away. God rest her soul.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised to find out there was a castle at one time in Manchester. Castle in Manchester.
Oh, we got Colchester.
Yeah, really would. It wouldn't be surprising if most major cities had a castle at one point.
Yeah.
I mean, you even look at Norwich. Norwich itself, I wouldn't rate Norwich whatsoever, but they have a castle.
They had a castle. It was built actually initially, and it was built and it was used as a prison, even though it's a castle, and a lot of people don't know that.
No.
Yeah, so sometimes these things are built to keep prisoners in.
Yeah. Well,
and make it pretty for everybody else to look at, but inside it was grotty and they were all dying in filth and squalor.
I mean, you look at the likes of Colchester Castle as it stands today.
That's pretty.
There is so many different usages for the actual castle itself. It's got a chapel in there, so you can have wedding ceremonies in there. You've got the prison cells themselves where the witches were held when Matthew Hopkins, Witchfinder General, went on his rampage. Like 40 or 50 witches, men, women and children, held in those cells at any one time that were designed only to fit 10 people. And then you've got the other areas like you've got the what they called it, the soup kitchen room. There was a long room there that during Victorian times was used to feed the hungry and the homeless, and they would go to the castle to pick up supplies. And, you know, so there's different areas of a castle will use for different things.
Oasis Castle.
Because it came from in Manchester. You know the band Oasis?
You'd put the go on the audio tour, you'd put the earphones on and they'd go, slip inside the eye of your mind as you walk in.
Yeah. The ghost of Oasis. Let's go and investigate. Are they dead yet? They're not, are they? They're still going.
No, I think there was rumour at one point they were going to join back together again because they both went their separate ways, didn't they?
I thought they fell out, didn't they?
Yeah.
Our local celebrity, if you like, Mandy, what was her name? She married one of those Oasis brothers, one of the Gallagher brothers. She's an actress and she's not very good looking, but she came from Hounslow. We don't get many celebrities that come from Hounslow. Not that I'm from Hounslow, but the class that's our local celebrity, you know. We had somebody that was in the Carry On films and this woman that married, oh God, what was her name? I can't even remember. She couldn't have been all that, eh? They came from Hounslow. There's a little round man that was in the Carry On films. He wore the little round glasses all the time, dark hair. He came from
Right. Well, it weren't the one that married Liam Gallagher.
what was her name? Oh,
Else too is I need to have like a different kind.
Meg Matthews.
No, not her.
No, Sarah McDonald.
No.
Oh, you must have married. It must have been someone else then. Hang on.
I'm going to get a name.
Limmy Gallagher. Right, Nicole Apperton or Patsy Kensit?
Patsy Kensit, that's the one. Patsy Kensit.
Where did you get Meg or Margaret from?
I don't know. Quite crazy.
He married Meghan Markle. Okay. Oh dear. Well, it looks like my two eldest have just come home.
So we're missing Mark Manley. He's bloody useless, isn't he? Who needs Mark?
That's it.
All we need is our bit of Totty on here, Josh, and we would have been all right.
Yeah, I think he's still at work though, isn't he?
He's in shock because we call him Josh Momoa. He's the love child of Jason Momoa.
Because he looks like
he
looks like
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
Really?
A bit.
Let me just show you his picture.
Viv called him. Viv said he was Jason Momoa's love child last night.
Half an hour away from me. My mom lives in Deep Pier.
I'm just getting a picture up for you.
I've got to get with short hair.
You short hair?
Yeah. Right, imagine this guy smiling, not with bright white teeth, and not with pointy eyebrows. Okay.
Yeah.
And no beard. That's him, isn't it? It's Josh.
Yeah.
I told you, he's a love child of Jason Momoa. If Josh grew his hair long and grew a beard, that's exactly what he'd look like.
Mm.
There you go.
So we have a celebrity.
No, I don't see it.
So that is him.
That is Jason Momoa's love child.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
We'll be running competitions soon with giving away signed photographs of Josh Momoa.
Yoka.
We're getting plenty of gigs, wouldn't we? Wayne, we should become his joint managers. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea, actually.
Yeah, we could pimp him out and get him opening shops and all sorts. Yeah. Cutting that ribbon.
We need to build him up a bit. We need to pump him full of protein shakes.
There you go.
Yeah, but if he's the love child, who's going to be? We got to find him a mother.
Oh. Well, I'm sure. I'm sure we could get Amber Heard for a couple of quid.
God, oh no, oh no, oh, you wouldn't
You know,
do that as your mother,
£5,
would you?
$5.
Yeah, she is. I agree.
You know, she might do it for a couple of pounds.
No.
She needs the money.
She can stay there. Oh dear. So
Yes.
every year they say they're getting back together. This is going back to Oasis.
Yeah.
Liam, Patsy Kensit. Yeah, she was horrible. She used to think her shit don't stink. She's horrible. She might not be like that now, but she was back then. Yes. Now let's get back to Jason Momoa. Yes, the love child of the Game of Thrones, Emily Girl. Emily, who's the Emily Girl in the Game of Thrones? Oh, Amelia. What's her name?
Earhart.
Yeah, that's his mum. That's his
Look,
mum.
sweetie. No, no. No. Go on, go to bed. See you in the morning.
That's right.
Yeah, she was the mother of dragons. That was his mum.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and Jason Momoa, and the result is Josh.
There you go.
We'll tell him that when we see him. Dark Mirror next week is going to be hilarious. Tune in, guys.
Yeah. I think we'd be better off not having a plan of action for the Dark Mirror next week.
Aren't we talking about chupacabras?
We're supposed to be. I don't think it's going to happen somehow.
We did keep on track last week. Ish.
That's true.
We did a good job last week.
Oh, Daenerys Targaryen
Yes.
from
Daenerys.
Game of Thrones
Daenerys.
by Amelia Clark. That's the girl.
Amelia, Jason, Josh.
Yeah.
Happy family.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, God. Poor Josh.
Josh probably came off the live last night and went, "What have I let myself in for?"
He's got a few fans now. Thanks to me and you. Yes. Oh, dear. So, Eric, how are you getting on with your REM pods and things? How's that going?
Well, I ordered this stuff, and I should be getting them this month. And as soon as I get them done, I will be sending them off.
So you'll be a busy bee.
Yeah.
With wires and soldering and God knows what else, and swearing a lot, I should imagine.
I don't think I ever swear during it. I'm sure I burped myself a couple times.
Do you ever swear?
I do once in a great while. It depends.
I can never imagine you swearing. You're always very sort of, well, you know. Whereas me, potty mouth, Wayne's potty mouth. He's not as bad as me, though. You're not as
I
bad
was
as
going to
me.
say, I'm not a potty mouth all the time.
No, only when you're with people that swear around you, like me,
Yeah.
Dan, Mark.
And providing it's after 9 o'clock. We have the watershed, 9 o'clock.
Oh, yes. That's why you go on at 9, isn't it? You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about it.
That way it doesn't matter if we swear. Beforehand, you have to watch your P's and Q's.
That's true. That is true, mine.
But then even when we're filming Truth Beyond Paranormal, when we first started, I kept telling everybody else, look, you've got to watch your swearing. And they went, but when we do the lives, it's after 9 o'clock anyway, and the watershed's gone past that, so that's fine. And I went, yes, I know, but you will get all sorts of people watching it. I said, you really should watch your language, but it still happens. It still filters through. I mean, especially when something happens unexpectedly.
William.
And then the first reaction is the F word or the S word. So,
But,
you know, it's sort of a natural thing. But
Have you noticed that people on the telly say, "What the heck?
yeah, right.
What the heck?" We don't bother with heck. We go, fucking hell, mate. I've just seen something. And then they start crying.
I've seen
You know.
some of shows that actually have nudity on them. I'm like, don't you guys have censorship over there?
Oh, yeah.
We did have, but she died.
What is that? Naked Attraction.
Oh,
Oh my God, it's the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Brian Kano came over and he stayed. And the first thing he said, you got this thing on telly called Naked Attraction. What is all that about? And he said exactly the same as you, because you're looking at people and they stand in a box. And as a man, they're trying to pair up with these women. And these women are standing in boxes and then they're completely naked. So then you see their legs, their feet up to their knees. Then you see a bit higher. Then you see the lower regions. Then it goes up to the belly. And then it's complete breasts out. And then you see the face. And he's got to pick one for a date. And he's standing there naked as well. It's like, what?
some of the reactions, you know, they say, so what do you think? And they'll go, oh, well, I'm not too sure. That's a bit too big for my liking. And the poor girl's behind the screen going, what?
What?
The protective screen's only gone up to the belly, and she's going, what's too big for your liking?
He's looking at all the, the lady gardens areas. Oh, I don't like a shaved one. I like a bit of a bush. And you're thinking, what?
I mean, if you were the woman behind that, and he says, "Oh, I like to have a bit of decoration in that area," she'd turn around and just go, "Well, that's all right. I just won't shave it."
Throw it. Yeah.
It's not an issue, is it?
It's just so funny. Oh,
my nan used to have a thing about Eurotrash.
Oh,
and that was a show on Channel 4, and it was bizarre stories from around Europe, but they were mildly pornographic ones. And it would be ones like a guy in Holland that rents himself out as a bicycle stop. And he goes around Holland, I think it's mainly in Amsterdam, he's naked, and someone will pay him so many, would be euros now, per hour, to bend over at a cycle rank that's full, and they would park their bicycle wheel between his buttocks. and he would get paid for kneeling down on all fours, and someone would park their bike between his bum cheeks for so much per hour. And my nan would be going, "Oh, did you watch that show, Eurotrash? That was disgusting. I've never seen anything like it." And then
look who used to host it. See
Yeah.
the man with the 4 on his head.
yeah,
Who is
so
that? Who is that?
that's the fashion guy that does that. He's got aftershaves and perfumes out now as well, isn't he?
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
That's it, yeah. And my nan would then, the following week, my nan would go, "Did you see Eurotrash last night?" I'm thinking, hang on a minute. You said that show was disgusting. You'd never watch it again and people should complain about it. And yet the following week, you're watching it again. My nan was such a secret prude. There was a German quiz show called Tutti Frutti.
I remember that.
And it was a striptease show mixed with Wheel of Fortune, and they'd be spinning the wheel, and then all of a sudden they'd pick a fruit, and this model had come down the stairs, and she'd open her top up when it'd have the fruit on their boobs. And then next minute, you know, one of the contestants starts stripping off, and I'm like, what's the purpose of this show? What are they actually winning apart from getting excited?
But in saying all of this, though, a good friend of mine, Mr. Ross Allison, did do a naked thing involving the paranormal to prove spirit touch.
Yeah, I love that.
6 years in the making with a scientist, with an engineer, a scientist. He spent 6 years on it. And it sounds pretty, getting naked and doing the paranormal. But there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
And I really do fully recommend, if you have Amazon, you can rent it, you can buy it, you can get the DVD, watch it. Every person in the paranormal should see this, because it blows the paranormal field on its head. Yeah. Nobody no, and I mean nobody, has made anything new for us investigators to be able to prove anything. Now, he's still a long way off trying to get this contraption made smaller, more cost effective, because now if you wanted to buy this thing, it'll cost you about $6,000 and you need to have all the computers and understand the software. But he's able to prove spirit touch. Clothes you can rub, can get on your nerves, and you can confuse that with a spirit coming to touch you. He took that contaminant away. He took the clothes away, and he placed these people in areas where it is known where spirit will attack. And my God, did spirit attack one poor lad. One poor lad, he got attacked. One girl who's not even a paranormal investigator, never been on a ghost hunt in her life. She was placed in an area. You could see her legs being pulled up. She was trying to kick this whatever it was off of her. And when you see her afterwards, they check her legs and where she was saying she was being grabbed, and you can see the bruising and the fingerprint marks around her ankles. Absolutely amazing. I mean, the girl, it did petrify her. She never got involved in it or in the project again, but she gave permission for it to be shown. He had to take clothes away. You don't see boobs. You don't see any lower regions. It's all done in good taste. I watched it for the first time with Dan before he released it. He came over. He said, "Oh, do you want to watch my documentary?" Me and Dan went, "Yeah, all right, then stick it on." So he put it on my telly, and we sat there the whole way through with our mouth wide open, eyes watching it. And then when it finished, he said, "Got any questions?" We had to, like a good 10 minutes passed. I was just staring at Dan, looking at him, saying, "What did I just watch?" I said, "Can we watch it again?" He says, "If you want." And we had a ton of questions that then came afterwards. So Dan and I were lucky enough to see it before it was released. It is out there. If you want to see it, I fully recommend it. It's called Parasense. What was it? The Naked Experiments.
Yep.
Or just search Ross Allison and it'll come up on his.
I mean, the thing is when you think about it, the amount of cases and the amount of people. I mean, even when we've gone out on investigations and events, people have said, "Oh, something's pulled my trousers," or "Something's pulled my shirt," and so I can see the sense in that experiment is the fact that if you would normally have claimed that something's tugged on the back of your shirt or your trouser leg, if you remove that trouser leg or that shirt, what's it going to do to get your attention? It can't pull your shirt or your trouser leg, so it's got to do something else to get your attention now. And if it means...
I know of someone that was in a famous place and they had a camera on them and they filmed this little money spider. It just come down, as they do, on his collar, right? 10 minutes later, he's got this scratch mark, the same place where this money spider went. And he swore blind, "No, I've been scratched by a spirit." Now, he's done it unwittingly, didn't know. Fair dues, like it can happen to all of us. But this money spider had gone inside his collar and tickled him inside. So he's like brushed it away, scratched himself. It's irritated him. 5 minutes later, "Oh, demon scratched me." It can happen to the most of people. And he really genuinely was frightened, and he frightened himself, and he believed that this spider was actually a spirit that scratched him. It was just
because they have said and proved that some of the times when you can scratch yourself and not realise you scratched yourself for 5 or 10 minutes after the event, you notice the scratch mark, but you don't remember actually scratching yourself because you don't feel the pain at that instant.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a lot of the cases where people have been reportedly scratched, a lot of them could be that it was themselves doing it. They just don't remember doing it.
They generally get scared.
I'd wake up with scratches in the morning, and I know exactly what did it. It was my cat. And just, laying on my back and then...
Doing that on your back.
Yeah. When I'm sleeping, I can't feel her do it when she just gets up and runs off and scratches me with her back nails. And I notice that a couple of days later, it starts itching because it's healing. Yeah. What the heck scratched me? One of the cats must have.
That's a free massage, that is, from the cat when they do that. I try and get that cat to do me in areas that hurt. Can you do my shoulder rather than my lap? And it's like, put him up there, and it's like.
So instead of the Swedish massage, it's the feline massage.
Yeah, get one of them.
He used to do that to my shoulders. Go.
Oh, do you know?
Go ahead.
Best feeling in the world when a cat does that on you, like on your arms and stuff. You think, oh, that feels really good. Keep going, John. And then he gets bored and pisses off because they're bastards. Cats are. But,
Especially when they poop in places other than the litter tray. I've got one cat that likes to go to the toilet in the bath. Another one that goes in front of the toilet, not in the toilet. Another one that goes to the back of the kitchen door. And you're like, hang on a minute, there's literally two litter trays downstairs, two upstairs, and they just don't go in them.
Do you know, my cat, I've got a lid for my litter trays. It's so funny. Because they kick out the litter stuff and it ends up all over the floor. So I bought a lid. So, I thought, well, that'll do. Anyway, John goes in it, turns around, has his head poking out of it. It's like the cat can't fit in the litter tray. He has to go right up and have his head poking out. And he's looking at you as he's going. It's like, what the hell? And he barely gets it inside the litter tray. It's right on the edge. It stinks. It's like
our cat Phantom is a very bizarre creature. He will literally just put his bum through the entrance. and the rest of his body, his whole body will be outside the litter tray, and he'll just poke his bum into the entrance, and you'll hear it bouncing off the back of the litter tray.
Yeah, good shot.
And you're like, have you been holding on to that?
Did you guys see my message this morning on our thing for Facebook? Where we message each other. My cat, Midnight, left me a present on top of my blanket this morning when I woke up. It threw the blanket.
Yes, you said.
And dead mouse there. I'm like, really?
That's because she loves you. She loves you.
If I'd have lifted my head up and saw the mouse, I'd have kicked it and that would have gone flying across the room.
I just grabbed some toilet paper, picked it up, and threw it outside. A bird won't eat it around here, so.
Yeah, or a snake. You got snakes there?
Yeah, we got snakes, but not any poisonous ones.
Our cats have got a thing about pigeons.
Oh, yeah.
They like cat pigeons.
Do they bring them in?
They've never brought them in the house. They've brought mice in, and sparrows, but not pigeons.
Because they'll decide to pluck the thing, and you'll have pigeon feathers everywhere.
Yeah, the amount of times we've gone out in the garden and we've found bits of pigeon all over the place, and you're just like, oh, not again, another pigeon. Right, okay, let's get rid of it. Stick it in the neighbour's bushes.
So what about the ghost of animals then around your property? You must have a few, because if your cat's out hunting, why don't we see more ghosts of pigeons? Or maybe we do and we just don't notice them.
Yeah, we just don't notice it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have about 5 rabbits in our back garden then.
Yeah.
You've got it. They must come back. Surely.
Well, I think the one that my cat Xena that died in the house, when I told her she could go, she just died right away. And I swear to you that if you've ever had a cat and it walked up on the couch or anything or the bed towards you, you feel that stepping across. I reached over to my side and there was nothing there.
Yeah.
Cats were sleeping on the back of the couch. And I'm like, okay. And then Rita didn't believe me, and she goes, "Oh my God, I just felt it." I'm like, "Wow, okay." Confirmed.
It's like they come back to confirm, especially your pets, like to confirm, "I'm okay, Dad. I'm all right. I'm okay," and I think that's lovely.
Well, I love it.
But I don't think John will come back because he is just an arsehole. He really is. He is. I'm surprised he's not here dribbling over the keyboard now. I did go out and buy him his favourite food, and his belly's full, so he's staying away from me. He's too fat to move at the moment. But yeah,
I think my 4 cats are in hiding at the moment.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's too early for their dinner, so they're probably just sitting out back relaxing.
So let's see what we've got in the chat. And it says, I've seen it once and thought, what the fuck? That's that naked attraction. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's for perverts, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a job for Super Dan. Or now going on Naked Attraction. Can you imagine Dan on that? Yeah, I don't like her. Her knees are pointy. I don't like that. She's got knobbly knees. No. Dan would be terrible on that. He really would. Plus, he's married anyway. I don't think the wife would let him. I think he said, just watch with my mouth open. What is that video called? It's called... let me find it. I'll put it up in the chat. Hang on. I'll put a link up on the chat for you, and hopefully... Let me just put...
Well,
Sorry.
the movie that Parasites, the Naked Experiment.
Yeah. There we go. You can find it here. Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can get a link on. Let's see if I can share it. Bear with me, callers. You just chat amongst yourselves. How'd you share it from... Oh, yeah, I see that button there. Oh, I'll get there eventually.
I've really got to stop looking at my phone when I'm on live.
I can't share it. Let me just find a...
Let's have a look. What was it called?
Parasites, the Naked Experiment.
Okay.
Parasense.
You beat me to it, Viv.
That one. I don't know how to share it.
Oh, it came out last year.
Yeah.
And he said he was already in the making of a new one.
Yeah. You can watch some of it on YouTube. Chad Goodwin is the he's the partner in it, the scientist that did it with him.
Hey, I can watch it.
You can watch it. It's on Amazon.
No,
Amazon
you can't
Prime.
watch it on Amazon over here.
Oh, you can't?
No.
You get it on...
I've just had a look, but I've just found it on a streaming site that I can't actually mention.
Yes.
But I have found it on there.
Okay, yep.
So it's there.
Hang on.
No one's put it on there yet, so there is a trailer. An error occurred while initializing the YouTube player. What a surprise.
Oh, just watch. Raindrop.
This is what it's called. And I think you might be able to find it on his website. Even. Let me just see if I can find his website.
There's a TV guide. There's a TV guide?
If you watch YouTube TV, yes.
Yeah, I mean it's streaming on Amazon in America, iTunes for $4.99, Google Play for $4.99, and Vudu for $4.99. But it's not available in our in the UK apparently.
I thought we could get it in the UK.
We obviously might be able to through his website or something like that.
We'll have to get him on the show, I think, and let him tell us all about it.
Plex. Has Plex got it? Oh. Watch from these locations. Yeah, it seems to be I don't know, at the moment it seems to be a location thing. Because I've just looked on the Plex app and it says it's on there, but it's not available from this location.
Wow.
Okay, so this is his group. I'm going to put this in here. You might be able to find it on his website.
It'd be interesting because I've got a documentary film to watch from Josh Hurd, and that's paranormal based. And I keep meaning to watch it, and then I keep forgetting to get it out the cupboard to watch.
Watch this one. Watch this one online. Honestly, I'm not kidding you. When you've watched it, Wayne, you'll have 101 questions. It is amazing. Absolutely amazing what he's done. And he's got more. I mean, he's got more in the pipeline. I mean, this guy is ever so clever. I've met him. I won't tell him he's clever to his face because otherwise he'll get big head.
Ooh. Now I can get Apple TV, but it will probably come up with the same thing, that it's not available in this area.
I think if you go on the Simply Spooky page and you go to the interview with Ross Allison, there is a link where you can buy it in the UK, but you'll have to search for it. But I think if you go on his website, you can message him as well. He's really approachable, lovely guy.
Well, I did that.
Don't tell him I sent you.
I had that with Josh Hurd because I'd said to him, all his DVDs were available, but you could only buy it if you were in America. So I messaged him saying that, I'd really like to watch your documentary. And he went, don't worry, I'll send it to you. Straight away. Oh. Without a question, I'll send it to you. And he literally shipped it straight over here. I said, don't you want anything for postage? I said, it's not cheap, is it? And he went, no, don't worry about it. And he signed the front cover.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm like, oh, thank you.
Well, if you're in the town of Seattle, he does have a haunted museum. I don't know if he's in there much at the moment because I know he's busy on doing bits and pieces, but pop into the haunted museum at Seattle and see him. Or you might be able to, if you're there, you might be able to buy a copy over there. He might have copies in the museum, but definitely it's worth a watch. And I wouldn't just plug anything, but that it turned the paranormal community, if you like, it's turned it on its head. Well, I mean, you've watched it, Eric. What were your thoughts?
I love the documentary.
I think it will turn the paranormal on its head if it's an experiment. That nobody else has done before.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
it gets results. Then it proves a point of something, doesn't it?
Nettie, have a look on his website. Go on his website and have a look.
I mean, it's all about process of elimination, isn't it? Whenever you experience something when you're out investigating, you need to rely on process of elimination.
Yeah.
And that's by turning around and saying, we know it's not this, it's not that, it's not this. So it could be this, or this. So then you move on to something else that could eliminate one of the other things until you've only got one possible answer to what it was. And I think what he's done there is obviously by removing the clothing side of it, he's proved that something does touch you.
Yeah,
it's more than just that. He's actually got you wired. Are they wired? I can't remember, Eric. They're not wired.
There's sensors all around them to measure air pressure, changing every kind of thing that you could think of. I mean, this is like a big $1,000 machine like you were talking about that measures everything.
Yeah. It's amazing, Wayne. You need to see it because they can actually do like a little video of, and they can actually pinpoint the actual area you were being touched.
Yeah.
And what they do is they check the body before they go into the experiment, sit them down in a chair, do the experiment, and then when they claim to be touched and they're videoing it, they're seeing it first hand. They go and then check the body. They don't say anything to the person, and they find the areas that one guy got shivved in a prison.
Yeah,
the spirit actually come to shiv him.
Yeah.
He said they actually proved that actually did happen. You have to watch it. It's just, we can't explain it. It's hard to explain unless you've seen it.
Yeah.
Isn't it, Eric?
I mean, weirdly enough, I sort of did that experiment on Saturday night. I was wearing a glow-in-the-dark Grim Reaper T-shirt. And we went down into the vaults. The lights were out. And my T-shirt was glowing.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
And they
It's like,
kept
come to
saying,
me, come to me.
"Oh, your t-shirt's annoying because all we can see is the glow." So I took it off. I'm sitting in the vaults. I'm like, right, I'll take it off then. So I hoisted
You
up my
tart.
shirt so that no one could see the glow in the dark bit. And I mean, normally I've got my ring on, and that glows up bright green in the
Does
dark.
it?
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out next time we're out and about
So
together.
when I'm out investigating and people hear something and the accusations that go out, "Oh, you've thrown a stone," or "It was you doing this and doing that," I make sure I've got a ring on each hand that glows in the dark so you can see if my hands are moving.
Yeah.
It eliminates it straight
Yeah,
away.
of
Well, it
course.
weren't me because my hands haven't moved, and you can tell that because my ring's not glowing.
Yeah.
And it
That's a good
does.
idea, actually.
It charges very quickly. So all you got to do is shine a torch on it for a couple of seconds, and the glow on it goes on for hours.
Wow.
And
I've
so
been
straight
using
away,
I've been using this American toothbrush, right, to try and get my teeth white because Josh has been putting me to shame, and I know that when I use this toothpaste, and I've used it for a while, my teeth glow in the dark after that. I don't know what they put in their toothpaste.
I'm
but
using
brilliant.
that high smile stuff,
Yeah.
that purple stuff.
Yeah.
And on the adverts, you see it on TikTok. They put it on the banana, and then they rub the banana, and the skin's gone white. It does actually work.
Wow.
It is amazing stuff, and you only need to put 2 or 3 blobs on your toothbrush. Just rest it on your teeth for about 30 seconds, and then brush it in after for a couple of minutes, like you would normal toothpaste, and then rinse.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
I don't know what you're talking about. So,
It's when you bleach your hair.
well, yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't.
You get you can get a purple toner, and it is dark purple, and
It makes it white.
It makes it whiter, and that's the same principle that they use for the toner that they use on your teeth. If you go on to TikTok or on Facebook videos and put in high smile and look at the adverts, and it shows you the process that they do and how they've come about this idea that when you bleach your hair and you use the toner, you use the same stuff on your teeth. It makes your teeth white.
But in America, they have they don't have the laws on peroxide that we have. So all you got to do, Eric, is go to the chemist or your local store and just buy Crest whitening.
Yeah, Rita uses that, but I don't have no need for it. So
Yeah, I've got loads of Crest whitening I brought back with me.
yeah, you know why I have no need for it? I don't have any teeth to brush.
You're cheating. You're cheating.
I'm slowly
Yeah, I am as well. But right,
I've oddly enough got 4 gaps, and they are literally symmetrical with each other.
Wow.
They're in the same place on each layer. So I've got one missing there, directly beneath it, one missing there, and one underneath it missing. They're in the same place. I can poke my tongue through both sides.
No, I've just gone crazy now.
But I've kept my front ones, so that's good.
That's all that matters. So we've done an hour and a half, so we're going to call it a night. Guys, we got no Dan tomorrow. So I might get the 2 guys on again tomorrow night for a little chat about who knows what. If you're
I won't be able to come on tomorrow night because my oldest daughter has guides.
Oh, does she?
And I've probably got to pick her up.
Yeah. Are you available tomorrow, Eric?
Oh yeah, I'm available.
Me and Eric will be talking about all sorts.
But I will let you know anyway, just in case, because I have to find out from the ex-wife what's happening. So
you can always pop on later on. Who knows? We might be still there chatting
about.
Yeah,
we'll send the link over to me anyway, and if I can get on, I'll get on.
And then on Thursday, I think that there is To the Grave and Back again. I am not sure. I know that they were taking a sabbatical. But Friday night is going to be the big one on Simply Spooky on Frighteners turn a year old for Lois. And she's having a birthday party. So for all sorts of madness and mayhem, I think that kicks off at 8 o'clock on Friday night. Does it, Eric?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. Well, your time, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. I think there may be a special guest appearing.
Is she? Is she coming?
I'm not too sure if I'm going to be there, but I have put the feeder out, and Violet LeBonc may make an appearance at some point during the night.
Oh, Violet LeBonc might be able to meet Rhea Colon.
There you go.
Rhea Colon's apparently coming. She's that famous medium that does house clearances. I think she's been on sabbatical in India, so she's got a bit of an Indian accent going on right at the minute. So
Sure,
might
bit
be
belly
interesting.
belly.
Bit Delhi Belly. I know she'd been up unwell for a while, but I think she's back on the circuit now. So Tony Stackwell was booked to go on, but we don't know if Tony's going to be able to make it. We'll see. You never know. Never say never. But there'll be a few surprises along the way, I should imagine, with Tony if he does make an appearance. Say no more. But yeah, it's an interesting week this week coming up for the Simply Spooky crew. So don't forget Things Network, because there are plenty of fantastic shows on the Things Network. There's lots and lots going on, and again, maybe a few July the 4th Independence Day celebrations. And for those American friends of ours, just remember the British burnt down the White House. I love winding that people up about that.
Yeah, but here in Colchester, they burnt down KFC.
Did they? Good on them.
Twice. I mean, they were going to call it. They were going to call it CFC, Colchester Fried Chicken. But they obviously CFCs didn't go down too well. So
no, I think Mr. Sanders will have something to say about that. So join us if you can. We will be back tomorrow night on the Simply Spooky Network page. Hope you can join us. If not, we will catch you next week. Before we go next week, we didn't do the Jar of Doom.
I know.
Wayne, are you picking?
What?
Tell me when to stop.
Stop. Well, see, ain't one of these things where I've got to do it there.
We are talking about
Paranormal Apparel.
Who just won?
Paranormal Apparel.
This is where everybody wears black.
Something like that. What is that all about? We'll discuss
Like it matters. I mean, I only wear black because I love black.
Mm-hmm.
So
You should do what I do.
Half
Half black, half white.
Well, you know. And I'm wearing white today, look. See, I'm wearing white today.
Oh, good film that. Band Brothers. Amazing.
So.
Yes. So next week we are talking about paranormal apparel.
And the brothers.
It's going to get crazy. I know where it's going to go down straight away without me even mentioning it. Paranormal pants. That's all I'm going to say.
Ghost pants.
Ghost pants. Hope you can join us where we'll be having this very serious conversation about paranormal apparel. We'll see you next week, guys. Take it easy, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.